Welcome to our today's talk about the Atlassian Enterprise. And together with me is Nuwan.
Hi.
Today we will work through the Atlassian Enterprise Cloud and why this Atlassian Cloud plan is the best one for you. Let's have a quick view through our agenda for today. First, we start with the introduction about Atlassian and venITure, about Nuwan and me. Then we have a look what Atlassian Cloud is. Then we will work through the advantages of this cloud plan. Then we will see how to start with Atlassian products, and then a quick overview of possible use cases and the preview for the next talk. So Nuwan, would you like to introduce you?
Sure. Firstly, Till, thank you so much for having me. My name is Nuwan Ginige. I'm a principal product manager working on the Atlassian Cloud platform team. I have spent the majority of my time at Atlassian working on various platform evolution initiatives. And my current key project is the data residency project. It's been one that I've been working on for quite some time, and one that I'm quite excited to see be included as part of the Cloud Enterprise package. A fun fact about me is that I ended up growing up on the same street as the managing director of venITure. And we discovered this when we were both at a conference in Vienna last year. And we coincidentally started talking about where we grew up and discovered that we were on the same street for close to 8 years without ever knowing. So I have quite a special and interesting connection with venITure.
Thank you, Nuwan. So I'm Till. I'm working as an IT consultant at venITure since 2 years now. And as an IT consultant, I build business solutions into the workflows or into the companies of our customers, and especially into Jira. This is the part where I'm working on. And one of my key projects in the last 2 years was building a full event management into Jira together with our customer ESL. Some facts about Atlassian. Nuwan.
So we were a company that was founded by our two co-founders, Scott Farquhar and Mike Cannon-Brooks, in 2002. The story says that they started the company out of a garage in Sydney and have seen success after success since then. We currently have over 150,000 customers and counting across a number of different products, and we are currently at over 4,000 employees with 12 offices across the globe. And due to the current pandemic situation, we've all been fully remote as a company since March 2020 this year, and have been heavily using all of our products in order to be able to collaborate to our fullest. Till, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Thank you for the quick overview. Let's have a look through the facts for venITure. So we were founded 4 years ago in year 2016 from Sam and Alex. And right now we have locations at 3 countries with our headquarters in Germany, in Cologne, and other locations in Croatia and Turkey. And at the moment we have in the whole company group more than 100 employees. And as you can see, we are growing very fast. So we are one of the fastest growing solution partners worldwide. And that is one of the reasons why we are the rising star in the EMEA region and get the award for the last year from Atlassian. But on that topic, you can have more details when you watch our talk 1 on YouTube. You can find the link now in the chat. So, general overview about the Atlassian Cloud. Atlassian has 3 flagship products. One is Jira Software. Jira Software is there if you want to plan your work, if you want to track your work, and if you want to get overviews about projects, or about the whole company status. You can create easy dashboards to get a good overview of your work and of the status of projects. And with the Scrum and Kanban boards, you can work efficiently through your workflow. With Jira Service Desk, you can track customer requests. They can create those requests in the customer portal, which is within Jira Service Desk. And you also can connect your support email address, so you get every request directly into one tool. If you want to connect your knowledge base to it, well, that is not a problem with Confluence. Confluence has a deep integration into Jira Service Desk, so the people can have a self-service in the customer portal where they can help with some knowledge for them how to solve their problems on their own, and that this will prevent them from creating tickets. Confluence is there to spread your company news as well as an intranet or an extranet. And if you work together on something, on a page or on another task, you can do it with the collaborative editing, which is a native functionality of Confluence. So, Nuwan, would you like to introduce us into the cloud products?
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, Atlassian was founded in 2002, and our first product, Jira, was something that we wrote and we sold as software that customers would download and they would host it on their own servers. Now, over time, cloud became more attractive to a lot of companies and customers, mainly because they didn't have to run their own servers. And as we saw this trend, we took our own server products and we converted them into what became our first ever cloud products. Ever since then, we've been investing quite heavily in our cloud, both with Jira and Confluence, as well as other products that we have purchased over time. And now it is increasingly clear that our future does lie in the cloud. Sorry, Till, I suspect you're on mute again.
Sometimes it doesn't work, sorry. But I know that you didn't reduce any of your investments behind the firewall, right?
Not at all. In addition to what we had with our server products, we also had starter licenses, which was a flat fee that we would donate to our foundation, which would allow small customers to get on board really quickly with our products and really start learning how to use them and seeing whether it was fit for them up to a certain license user limit. At the other end of the spectrum, we also introduced a data center product. And this really was targeted at those customers who had grown to rely on our products for mission critical applications and really valued stability, performance, and security, as well as all of the great features that those products offered. So while we had all of these different options available to customers who chose to host their our products on their servers, as they started to evaluate how they wanted to move to cloud, they started to see that there was more friction moving from a varied deployment model and all the options to the single option that we had in cloud. And now this really did cause a lot of friction for us as well as for customers as they developed more and more urgency to actually migrate and use more cloud offerings overall.
So how did you respond to this challenge?
So Atlassian has now spent probably close to 2 years addressing this, and we have started to evolve our cloud offering to be able to meet those various needs. So firstly, we had our old cloud or previous cloud product, Cloud Standard. On top of that, we introduced a new plan, Cloud Premium. Now, Cloud Premium was targeted at existing larger server and data center customers who really wanted to unleash the potential of the increasing number of teams who were using those particular products. From there, we also introduced a cloud-free option. Now, this was really targeted at customers who wanted to use our products for the first time or who were on existing starter licenses and were looking for a cost-effective way to get the full benefits of cloud while not giving up any of the things that they came to know and love about our products today. And we've actually seen a significant uptake of this in the current environment where lots of teams have had to go remotely work remotely very, very quickly. And now there's trying to find ways to stay effective and collaborate with everybody while everybody's working in different locations. Finally, the last piece of this particular puzzle was to introduce the Cloud Enterprise plan. This builds upon the Cloud's premium feature offerings and offers organization admins even more flexibility, security, and control over their company's most precious content. Now you can see that all of these arrows point to a certain type of mapping of our various cloud offerings. However, I must stress that even if you are a small company, there are certain things that you will probably look to in the Cloud Enterprise plan, such as data residency, which apply regardless of your size. It's really targeted to those industries and those regulatory environments where customers are very, very concerned about ensuring that their content is safe. So at this point now, we have a product offering for all of our customers who are evaluating the cloud that really should meet all of their various needs.
Thank you for this overview, Nuwan. So let's have a look into the different plans more in detail. So we will focus again on those 3 flagship products, Jira Software, Jira Service Desk, and Confluence. And now let's have a look at first into the free plan. So the free plan is for less than 10 users for Jira Software and Confluence, and for less than 3 agents for Jira Service Desk. And the number of users are limited. And you have 2 gig of file storage. This is limited as well because it's the free plan. And if you need any help, you can get this from the Atlassian community. If you have all cloud products on free, they will be deactivated after 120 days if you have no activity in that, but you just need to log in one of those days to get them running. You have limited functionality and permission, audit log, and email notification. But if you need some of these, well, then you need to get the standard plan. This is for more than 10 users, up to 5,000 users. You have 250 gig of file storage, and you have advanced permission and more functionalities to hide tickets and to prohibit information which are critical from other users. You can have a look into the audit logs for keeping track of your instance. And you have the standard support, which means you get support from Monday to Friday in your time zone. If that is not enough for your company, then you have to take the premium plan. The premium plan contains all the standard features, but except the 250 gig limit of file storage, you now have unlimited storage. And you have an SLA of 99.9%, which means less than 9 hours downtime per year. With the premium support, you get 24/7 support the whole day and the whole night and on the weekends. And you are able to say which IPs are allowed to access your instance. That is called the IP allow listing. You are able to set a cloud sandbox, and you can archive tickets. That means if you archive tickets or archive projects, they are not in the search anymore because maybe these are old information or these are old stuff. And with archiving them, you don't mess up your instance. One big advantage is automation for cloud, which is included in this plan. With this, you can easily create automations, which helps your user to work more efficiently. For all those 3 plans, you can have the Atlassian Access. Atlassian Access is an additional subscription which brings up some features like single sign-on, Active Directory sync, enforced 2-factor authentication, and you have special Atlassian Access support if you need some help in addition to this subscription. As Nuwan said, some customers say this is not enough for us. So we have the Enterprise plan. In the Enterprise plan, we have all the features from Premium and from Atlassian Access. And in addition to that, well, you can have unlimited instances with this subscription. And you have an even better SLA of 99.95%, which means less than 5 hours downtime per year. You can keep track of the releases, and you can say when you want to have them into your prod instance. And you have enterprise functionalities like Enterprise Sandbox and Data Residency, but Nuwan will talk about that later in detail. With the enterprise support, you get the best support you can have, and with the centralized user billing, you can have an easy billing as well, but I will have a look into that later together with you. The enterprise plan is now in the early access program, and if you want to participate in this program because you need this enterprise plan, you can contact us so we can make this work for you. Any questions so far on this topic about the whole Atlassian cloud? No? Okay. Let's have a look how you can start with Atlassian products. Let's talk through the advantages of Enterprise Cloud. I was one step too fast. So first, there were four main aspects Atlassian was driven by with the enterprise plan. First, we had the global scale and visibility. So the focus of this plan are the global enterprises. So we need to be able to scale globally. So this is why Atlassian invested many years to expand the regional deployments in Europe, for example. And Atlassian got the ability to support practically unlimited number of products within a single organization, with a centralized administration interface to manage the users and the instances at scale. The second topic is security and governance. You can control where your data is stored. That meets the customers and the industry's requirements for data protection, for example, in case of data residency. You have identity controls delivered via the access inclusion. And you get additional insights and audits into operations performed at the organization level, not just on product level. The third point was advanced insights and control. So if you have unplanned changes in your instance with automatic updates, this is disruptive. With release tracks, you can plan for UI changes, and with sandboxing, you can experiment with product changes before applying to production. Changes in licensing costs are a disadvantage for planning too. That is why centralized user billing at an organization level is introduced with this plan. The fourth and the last point was reliability. You have even more reassurance with that, because the stronger SLA than premium with less than 5 hours downtime per year makes it possible to work every time. And you have a dedicated customer success manager with the highest priority support to date. Make the most out of your subscription. So now, Nuwan, maybe you'd like to deep dive us into data residency, enterprise sandbox, and the centralized user billing.
Sure, Till. So let's start off with data residency. As I mentioned at the top of this webinar, this is one of my key projects right now, and one that I'm very excited is part of the Cloud Enterprise Plan. What is data residency? Very simply put, it is the ability to pin your user-generated content into the realm of your choice. It's a very simple sentence with two very important aspects to it: user-generated content and the realm. And I'll talk through each of those in one moment. We've spent quite a number of years looking at what both our customers want from a data residency offering, as well as what is offered in the market. And we're confident that what we have landed on in terms of what we can deliver for customers will meet their needs as part of the Cloud Enterprise Plan. So what is user-generated content? Firstly, this aspect relates to any sort of data that is entered either via a user or via an API into a product experience. So that is, for example, updating a Jira issue or attaching a file to a Confluence page. What is a realm? A realm is a term that we have used to denote the geographic boundary where your content will live when it's at rest. At launch, we will be offering two realms, the EU realm and the US realm. If we go to the next slide, you'll see across, if we can go to the next slide, you'll see which products are in scope, as well as the content that is in scope for each of these products. And so, as you can see for Jira Software, it's quite a comprehensive list. We are looking at all attachments, all board and sprint data, all the comments that are attached to all the issues, obviously all of the Jira issues and their contents, as well as search data, including JQL information, as well as configuration data related to workflows, custom fields, and so on. It's a very similar story if we look at the Confluence side, where all of the things that you would expect to be under a data residency policy are included. So all the page information, blog data, attachments, comments, information related to search, email notifications, and comments, all of these are included under the scope of data residency. Now, on the next slide, we will talk a little bit about what is actually out of scope. There's some important things that we need to talk through here. So you'll notice that for each of the products, for Jira Software and for Confluence, there's very few exclusions. For Jira Software, it relates to the integration data that we might receive when you connect your Jira Software instance to a third-party provider such as GitHub. For Confluence, specific metadata related to permissions and restriction configurations is deemed out of scope of our data residency policy. These are the controls that allow users and administrators from the product as well as the organization to restrict which users and groups can actually view which pieces of content. Across all the products, there are a few categories where we will maintain a global policy for the data. This includes user identity information, marketplace apps, the logs that we use to operate the product, and the analytics events that we use to improve the product experience. I would like to spend a moment talking a little bit about the user identity information, as I know it's a relevant topic for this particular geography. Now, Atlassian, like a number of other SaaS software as a service cloud providers, has invested heavily in meeting the obligations that are stated under GDPR. So what this has meant for our Atlassian products is that we have taken a decision to centralize all of the user information into one place. And the reason that we do this is that when a user says, I want to invoke my right to be forgotten, we can then go and purge a user and all of their information out of Atlassian's cloud products and say, we have honored the requirements of right to be forgotten. Now, in order for us to be able to do this, while still ensuring that our products perform to an acceptable standard, we use various replication techniques to make sure that just because we have our user data centralized in one place to enable right to be forgotten, we are not hindering the performance of the product. Given all of the investment that we have placed in making sure that we are meeting our GDPR obligations, we are confident that we are adequately and securely protecting user identity information, both from a technical level as well as within the spirit of GDPR. The marketplace apps as well is an important point to talk through very briefly. With marketplace apps, we have customers enter into an agreement with a third-party provider. And at this point in time, if you install an app, that app could potentially take data out of the Atlassian cloud and store it in its own servers. Today, as of right now, and as part of the EAP, we do not provide any support for these apps to be able to be compatible with data residency. However, we are working with various top vendors to evolve their apps such that they can firstly support deployments across the world, similar to what we have done for Atlassian Cloud, as well as ensure that over time, their apps could be data residency compatible as well. So that your eventual cloud enterprise product set, including marketplace apps, will be data residency compatible. If we go to the next slide, we will be able to see where our Atlassian Cloud footprint is hosted today. As Till mentioned earlier, we have spent considerable amounts of time deploying across the world, and we are now at a point where, should we choose to, we could deploy rapidly to any other region that makes sense for our business and for our customers. We deploy on top of AWS, and as of now, we offer 2 realms. As I mentioned before, this is the boundary within which content will be hosted. We offer these 2 realms for customers. At launch, the first 2 realms will be the EU, which are made up by our Germany and our Ireland presences, as well as the US, for our US customers who have the choice of either the West or the East deployment options. If we can move on to the next slide, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Sandbox. Now, the Enterprise Sandbox is one of those interesting features where it, within the enterprise plan, is one of those capabilities that you can see directly being used. Features such as data residency, administrative settings, the enterprise SLA of 99.95% is a promise and a guarantee around reliability. Sandboxes are something that both administrators and users can interact with. And this allows users to be able to create an environment for people to test various capabilities on a data set that best matches their own. The 2 main areas of testing that can be done here are for product configuration changes and third-party apps and integrations. If we go to the next slide, we can talk briefly about the 2 main problems that we're trying to solve here. And these are change management problems related to how an administrator wants to roll out changes safely to their own users. The first type of change is regarding configuration testing. If an product administrator wants to, for example, change a workflow configuration or change some issue types or security schemes, they want a safe place, excuse me. My apologies for that. As I was saying, they will want a safe place to be able to test these particular changes without causing the productivity of their users to drop if they don't get those changes right. Additionally, if there is an app that an admin wants to test because maybe a user has said that they need it for their particular workflow, they can then test that inside a sandbox to be able to validate that it meets their particular usage requirements or security requirements, and do it in a way that allows them to confirm that it will do what they need it to do without breaking both their production environments as well as dropping the productivity of their users. So I can take you through some early drafts, screenshots of what this process might look like. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see an early UI mockup of what it might look like when you have the administration screen open and you have no sandboxes. If you click on the Create Sandbox, in this case, it will take you to the next slide. And from there, you can pick the products from which you can select to create a sandbox from. So in this case, we will select Confluence, and then the next slide will then show us that once you have a sandbox running, this is a list of all the sandboxes that will be in that panel. We're going to create another new sandbox now. And so when we hit create, this time we'll select Jira. And what we can see is that as we go to create the Jira sandbox, there are different ways that we can copy information and configure the sandbox based on configuration or project data. So there are various options we can work through. And if we were to click through and go to the next, the final confirmation slide, you will then see that here are some details about what could be done, what configuration objects might be copied, what data might be copied from which projects, and how much data will actually be moved into the sandbox for your testing purposes. So this is something that has been long asked for by our larger enterprise admins who want to be able to test changes in a safe and controlled fashion before deploying it to their production users. So moving on to the next deep dive topic, this is actually one, even though I said data residency is one of my top ones, this is one that I'm actually very excited about. Centralized user billing is a way, I believe, to unleash collaboration across your entire organization, especially large, complex organizations. What this does is it offers unlimited instances of your enterprise product for a single user license. This is a very, very different way to the way that products have been licensed previously. Now, it's built at a central organization level. But rather than me taking you through this, I'm going to give it back to Till, who will take you through some examples about how this will work and demonstrate just how powerful this is.
Thank you, Nuwan, for this great overview. So let's have a look in one organization. This organization is called the Acme organization. And as you can see, they have at the moment 2 Jira Software premium instances. One is the acme.atlassian.net instance, and the other one is called the Roadrunner instance. And in these 2 instances, they have 5 users, but one person is working on both instances. So we need each 3 licenses. That means when we put them together in an organizational view, we have 5 users, but we need 6 licenses. And this is getting much more complicated if the Acme organization requires a new company, which has another instance, another cloud instance as well. And this is what we see on the next slide. So the new instance they got from the new company is the coyote.atlassian.net instance. And this is a Jira Software Standard instance. They are working 2 people from the new company. And now when we have a look into the overall billing, we have now 7 users, and we still need 1 license more because 1 person is working in both premium instances. So 7 users, 8 licenses. But as you can imagine, when these are all working together, they need to work, the new people need to work on the old systems as well. And from the old instances, they have to work in the new Coyote instance too. So we still have the same amount of people, but now we need 13 licenses because everyone is working in every instances, most of them. So, and this is where the centralized user billing came in place. Because as you can imagine, now we are paying for 13 licenses, but we have just 7 users. And with the enterprise plan, that makes it possible to pay with 7 users, just 7 enterprise licenses. And the advantage of this as well is that all the instances from this organization are in the enterprise level now, as you can see. So what happened? The users are now not connected to the instances, they are connected to the organization. And they are licensed to the organization and not to the instances. And that's the reason why we have as many licenses as we have people. It is possible to keep one of those instances in the premium or in the standard cloud as well. But why should you do this if you can make them all to the enterprise level? Hope that clarified a bit the centralized user billing. Any questions from your end so far to the deep dive topics? You can write them to the chat if you like. No? Okay, let's see how to start with Atlassian and Atlassian Cloud. So there are 2 options how you can do this. The first option is you can implement it on your own. This might have several advantages, like you just have the internal investments, and some of you may think, well, this is more focused to the company structure because you know your company the best, and someone else didn't need to learn your processes to implement the stuff. And you get internal product knowledge because you have your administrators which keep take of the implementation and they get to know the program. But this is also a disadvantage because if they have to learn the product first, they have more time consumption on that. And this means we have a longer setup and implementation process because first learning and then implementing means you need more time than if you have an expert. And this is where the Atlassian solution partners came in. you can benefit from their expert knowledge because they have the best practices in mind. They see what works, what does not work at other companies, and they can implement your workflow from your company structures into the system. They can also tell you which automations are possible and how long does it take to implement those. And this is not possible if you don't know the product. If you implement it on your own, then you might don't know which is possible in the overall scope. We can provide you introductory workshops or train the trainer, train the end users, train your administrators to get the internal product knowledge. And we know how to change your company towards the Atlassian tools. So why won't you benefit from this experience? Maybe you start first in a little department or in a small department with the Atlassian tools, like in the software development. And then you think, well, this is a great tool. Let's expand this one to the whole company. And this is where the strategic consulting from the Atlassian partner towards this fact came in. They can help you to see where this tool can help your workflow, can help your process to get pushed in the correct direction or in the good direction. But well, there's one disadvantage. You have the external investments which you have to make. So how could you move towards Atlassian? There are two possible ways. First, you can start from scratch. Well, if you have old data or so on, you can create your new project or your new knowledge base, your new conference base initially in the Atlassian platform without importing any old data. You can create your current company structure and start with new projects, and you don't have to run through the old data to have a look if they are correct, if the statuses of tasks are correct, and so on. And this is the other fact how you can start. You can import your existing data. That means you have to clean them in beforehand, before you import them, because some of the data might be incorrect. You can also migrate ongoing projects and optimize the workflow with that, because when you migrate to Jira, also the ongoing projects have a benefit from the structured workflow, from the structured process, which Jira, Confluence, or the other products provide your teams. But which information can we import? We can import mostly everything you want, everything from the Office tools, everything from the G Suite. The simple thing we need is an Excel file to just import everything. And if you have other ticket systems where you want to migrate your data into Jira, for example, we can use connectors to do this as well. This was just a rough overview about how to start with Atlassian tools. There are some more deep dive topics where we can talk in person if these tools are interesting for you. Just ping us in the chat and we can have a small call afterwards. Any questions so far? No? So let's have a quick view through the use cases. And just to say this and beforehand, we will, in the next two talks, next week, we will focus on use cases and demonstrate you these in an instance. But what will you find in those talks? We will talk about the project management and how you can implement it into Jira software or Jira Core. With that and all the details, all the tasks in the software, we can track the progress in your project, in your department, or in your company. Jira provides you the possibility to create dashboards where you get a quick overview about the progress and about the status of each project. With the Jira Core with the Jira native functionality of assigning tasks and building up Scrum and Kanban boards in Jira software, you can allocate your work to your team easily. Then maybe you need a good overview about the timing of your project, about a Gantt chart, for example. There are apps which can provide you this automatically. And what we saw in the last talk as well, when we have all the data in one tool, we can generate easy overall reports as well. So now the service management. What does Jira Service Desk provide you with service management? Well, a simple self-service. When you have the integrated knowledge management, what we see in the later example as well, you can have automatically shown up all the knowledge articles which will help your customer on their own. Based on the request types in your customer portal, you can create automated responses based on these request types. So they get their answer they need to have of this specific question. As I said before, we can integrate the knowledge management, and with the whole Jira in the background, we have a streamlined ticket management, which supports your agents to work efficiently. Jira Service Desk provides you a good overview of the tasks for your teams in queues. So based on the requests you have, we can select queues so the teams which are responsible for these requests can have a good overview of the tasks they have to do. They provide you powerful SLAs to see the efficiency, and we have an automated ticket redirection, for example, with automation for cloud to see to guide the user in a better way through the workflow. So let's have a look at the knowledge management use case. As I said, you can integrate it into your service desk, and you can make your knowledge available for the whole company or for all the customers you have. Because, well, if you don't have the knowledge somewhere, they probably have to call you, and this is what makes the work on the agent's end. You can transform the knowledge from an implicit knowledge to an explicit knowledge, because everyone can find the knowledge which is in this knowledge base, and no one can say, well, I was not able to find it, I cannot help on my own. And with the knowledge, because everyone can help on their own, we prevent them to call you, to write you an email, or to use even the service desk to request your help. The last use case I want to have a quick overview of is process digitalization. For example, for HR, for the finance department, we can implement those workflows, those tickets, for example, into Jira. We can use automations to make the work of your users more easy. And you can get rid of paper as well, because, for example, if you have approval workflows, we can work them or build them into Jira. And when you have paper as well, you have to run to everyone to get the sign. And this is not needed anymore with having the approval workflows in Jira. That means we bring efficiency to your teams, because the teams know how to work, because the workflow will guide your user through the process. And with the automations in the backend, this will make more ease to use. We can connect your teams and prevent media breaks, as we saw on Tuesday in the talk 1. If you want to know more about how to connect teams, you can have a look into the YouTube session, and the link is posted into the chat. And when there are any questions, there's a question. There's a question. One of our customers would like to know if you can run the Atlassian core products in an annual billing mode and the apps in a monthly billing model to take advantage of both billing models. If so, what would the technical implementation look like? Do you need 2 cloud instances or is one enough? Well, that is a very specific question. I think we have to look into this more in detail. Or Nuwan, do you know some generic answer on that? I think it is regarding which cloud plan they have, which programs they have. It depends on that, I guess, as well.
So generally speaking, so I will say I'm not a billing expert here. Generally speaking, you should be able to have your Atlassian core products, so Jira Software, Confluence, Jira Service Desk, running on the annual plan. Given that you have separate agreements with the marketplace vendors, that should allow you to go to a monthly billing cadence. However, to reinforce what Till said, I think this is something that it would be good for Till to and venITure to help investigate and provide a definitive answer for your use case.
Okay, so Anna, let me reach out to you right after this talk to clarify that more in detail, if that is okay for you. So let's have a quick preview for the next talk. In the next talk, we will talk about the process digitalization and project management together with Dave. He's a group product manager, Enterprise Cloud at Atlassian. It will take place on next Tuesday, the 23rd of June, 5 p.m. European time zone, so German time zone. And if you like, feel free to join us there again. And thank you for your attention for today. If there are any questions in addition or anything, feel free to reach out to us. I think you have all my contact details, or just write us an email to venITure and we will help you. Thank you for being part of this talk series, Nuwan.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So have all a great day.